Welcome to in-person, physical, and virtual Natural Balance Masterclass. My name is Neal, and Natural Balance is in this moment. Um, Natural balance isn't somewhere in the past, and it's not somewhere in the future. It's what's right here, available right now, that's internally, that can be tapped into and expressed from. And um, there's a conversation that I'm bringing today, which is a conversation that's on specifically commitment. And when I'm speaking of commitment and when I'm speaking from commitment I'm holding synonymous with purpose. So when I say commitment, I'm also saying purpose. And like I said, Neal's my name, but Neal actually isn't who I am. Neal's a signpost that is aiming in the direction of who I am. Neal's like a trail marker. It's like, hey, there's this thing that if you say Neal, then I answer. So now that might bring up a question like, well, all right then, well, who am I? Well, who I am is multi-dimensional. I am infinite, and I'm like literally a child of God, and I'm a piece of God. And it is that piece, and it's the remembering and the expression of that piece of God that we are, that is natural balance. The acknowledgement of that piece without the expression of it is, to whatever degree that it is, unbalanced. Um, and so, welcome, Sarah Kay. Welcome, Soul. Welcome. If you can hear my voice, you're in the presence of physical, natural balance masterclass. And so, with commitment, what does it look like to not have commitment? What does it look like to not have purpose? Well, what it looks like to not have commitment is like when I was a child, when I was growing up, that was in my younger days, that was the most time that I had where I didn't have what I perceived as commitment or purpose. And not having a purpose is being like a ship without a rudder, and it's being like merged with the ocean, where you have an abundance of opportunity. For example, I can read a book, I can have a conversation, I can go garden, I could also go swimming, and then in addition, I could go fishing. And in addition to that, there's the option of eating dinner. There's the option of exercise. There's the option of just sitting and meditating. But when there's no commitment, how do I choose what option to go on? And so lack of commitment affects mental clarity, and it directly affects the decision-making process. And so um, so I'm gonna go more into this, but for right now, I'm just speaking to, all right, so when you're here right now in this moment, we're in a feminine flow environment. So imagine a master brain, or imagine a master mind where our brains are connected, and So when any one of us speaks, we are speaking and we're also being heard simultaneously. And so that's how to be in this beginning portion of this masterclass. If you want to communicate, I invite you to grab a mic and speak. You can raise your hand and wait to be called on or acknowledged to speak. I do invite interruptions. I don't see them as interruptions. I see them as synchronicities because I believe in divine timing and that every single moment is a God-given moment and that there's a lesson and there's like everything is divine. And so that being said, yeah, I'll pause here. Welcome, Sarah Kay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what I got present to it's so perfect. I just popped in, I finished my work today, and I didn't know what to do with myself. And so I went into a different job that required me to get up and move around because I really needed that. And then I was like, oh, I'm late for dinner. So I got to come have dinner. And then I'm in the flow. I come to your class, but I realized I was like, I haven't gotten any exercise and I haven't worked out and I haven't done a whole lot of things. And so while you were talking, and what I a purpose and know your chosen or God-given identity beyond your name. And I didn't really have a lot of thoughts around it other than I guess my first priority is spiritual development, but in the moments where I get to chill, which right now I'm in a chill moment, which I've been in like a very intense 3-week full on spiritual development, pretty much no room for anything else, barely handling other things. This immediate moment breather, I didn't have swimming on my radar. I didn't have walking or hiking or any of the things that you listed. In fact, I tripped into dinner. I would have missed dinner entirely had I not come down here to ask for help with something. And I realized I could actually have a secondary and a tertiary focus after my work is done, because old me would have just worked and then worked some more and then worked some more and then found something else to work at. And like, so I realized like I can actually put a certain amount to one thing, and I'm interested to hear what you have to share or where this space flows for the next, like how to create my secondary commitment and my tertiary commitment and how to balance them into my life so that I actually have natural balance, because that's not something I've had prior to coming here.
Well, I can, first of all, I can relate to the thing of like working and then working some more and then working some more and then sleeping. My go-to is to do, and then I basically gotta like force myself to be. So I acknowledge resonance with this. Now,
Awesome.
To your other thing of like, all right, these secondary or third tier commitments, that's like miles ahead of where I'm speaking from, which is of a place where what does it look like when one does not even have one commitment? And and so speaking from that location, when I don't have a commitment, then often I'm operating and playing out somebody else's commitment for me. So that's one thing. And then building on that, and kind of a secondary thing, is that if I don't have a commitment inside of who I am, then the commitment that I'll be fulfilling will be from programming, and it'll be from programming from parents. It'll be from programming from friends. It'll be programming from social media and from news media.
Yeah, whatever's on fire. That's what I call it. Anything that's on fire. That's what I respond to if I don't have a commitment.
Yes, and so and in addition, I'm not judging not having commitment, but what there is discernment that not having commitment is directly affecting your life and directly affecting my life. In the case, like if we were to not have it, then it's directly affecting it. And it's affecting it by mental clarity and focus, which is translating to the decision-making process. So I'm curious, I would like to open up more and hear what not having commitment looks like and what you're seeing. I'll pause here.
I was trying to follow you, but you're surprisingly more nebulous than I thought.
I disagree.
Yeah, talking about not having commitments and
Yes.
going with the flow, something like
well,
that. What would it be like in a world in which I didn't have to commit?
well, where you just don't have it. Like I'm proposing that there's people right now that don't have commitment, that don't have purpose,
Yeah, like
and
I come
that
in
they're
here.
they're looking for that commitment, they're looking for that purpose. But the world that I'm unpacking and inquiring into is the world of not having a commitment. Like, what does that look like?
I'm kind of touching what you're saying, and I guess I can just come from a place about myself. I wasn't committed to come here, but then I saw it, and so now I'm here. Um, and in that, I find myself in this balance of really um, loving the openness of having flow and seeing that like sometimes when I make commitments, I'm like, oh man, why did I commit to this thing? There's like it's not really in my highest and best good to be at a certain thing, and when maybe something else opens up. Um, I can't really relate to having no commitments because the way that I've navigated always is like, okay, I got my notebook, I got my 737 goals, and oh, actually, as it relates
That
to
could be equated to no commitment, though, because sometimes when you have too much there's actually not a commitment.
oh, but I mark them off, baby. They get marked off.
I assert that
And then
there's a
if-
commitment behind like that. Like when you have that many goals, there's usually some commitment that ties it together.
Yeah, and I guess it's around purpose in the conversation. I find myself though, like even in this time of going to La Paz, it's like the commitment is to go with no commitments, like to have a time and space where it's like, okay, this week I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in nature. I can walk where I want to walk when it feels right, and I can put everything on the big old list down and let that sit on the side. So I'm finding myself create this balance, kind of not just naturally, but out of intention to have this purpose, which is around what happens here at Earthwaking and bringing in consciousness or being the conduit of consciousness and new society, but also that's like so big and nebulous and gigantic, and it's like it's sometimes really quite awesome. Even in the balance of being here, I've been doing it like only committing to what I have to and then flowing into the rest. But even in that, it's like I want to go on the other side and be like, okay, for this week, I'm just gonna completely flow and surrender. So that's how I've been navigating it.
So
Don't hold back. What was that? Somebody
Uh,
come where she says like,
I really I heard just commitment all over the place and everything that you're communicating, including being in flow.
Yes.
And so while I was listening, I just like gave up any judgment about it not forwarding the conversation and like let it forward the conversation inside of me. And what I realized is one of the things that goes missing when I don't have a commitment is that I don't get to discover something about myself. Like when there's no commitment, then I don't know where I stand. I don't know what I love. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what I don't like. I don't know what I'm bad at. I don't know who I'm being in any given moment because there's something about commitment that gives you It's like a commitment is like a flag on top of the mountain. If there's no flag, it's like the rabbit or the high cat or whatever it is in Alice in Wonderland. Like if you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter which way you choose. Either way, you're going to get somewhere. Like, um, technically, I have a commitment financially. And feelings aren't real, but I feel like I actually don't act on it, which might not be true now that I'm here, but it's like, the commitment is loosey-goosey at best, and it doesn't register like some of my other commitments. So it's like it kind of doesn't matter which way I go because I'm not necessarily working in a way that I can clearly see is moving me towards that flag on top of the mountain.
So this is amazing. Because I see the flag on top of the mountain, and I also see something else, which is a foundation that I stand on, and that commitment is something that I'm standing on, and because it's the foundation, it's where I'm coming from, and it's not a destination to be reached. So for me, like the flag on the mountain can represent like a goal, like something to move towards. And I think goals are inside of commitment, but I don't think that they are the commitment. I think that there's a foundation and then the goal, and then that's where the goal comes from. Um, I also see commitment as potentially being a way of being.
Yes.
Not always, but it can be that.
Can it be
And
something else in addition to that? Because the only thing that came to my mind was way of being. So when you said that, I was like, yes. And then you were like, and it could be somebody else. And I was like, well, like what? Like I guess I actually just sort of answered my own question, which is like my financial commitment was to become a decamillionaire, but in God's way and in God's timing, which means I don't have any control over it. And I just like take actions, and it's like a place to come from that it's already done. And all there is for me is to just like trust whatever is being given to me to take action on. And that's like it's already complete, and it sounds like a goal out there, but I'm actually functioning from it here, which I don't know if that counts as a way of being.
to me, it counts as a way of being, which
Okay.
is a way of being abundance. But now I'm like wondering, actually, if you, so I'm in an inquiry right now of like, all right, is it even, I think commitment like becomes a way of being. Um, and that's when you step into it. All right, that's I think we've moved from being uncommitted to being committed. So,
I think you have a bad audience for the uncommitted part of this conversation.
well, I love this. I love being around committed, inspiring people that are actually coming from something. Uh, like, I have like macro commitments, and then I have micro commitments that assist and are going in harmony with the macro commitments.
Would you give an
And
example?
yes, an example is listening and speaking from God, or listening and speaking from love. I hold love synonymous with God, and that's a grandiose, like cosmic commitment. It's big. And then a micro commitment that I have inside of that is to be an inspiring and fun communicator, which is something that I haven't been in the past, but it's something that I'm committed to growing into. And so, um, that's a macro, a big commitment, and then there's a micro commitment. It's not micro because it's less than the original commitment, but it's micro because it fits inside of the bigger commitment.
Well, I'm interested because what I'm hearing is listening from God and more love is like a commitment, and then the being fun and inspiring is one of the ways of being that fits inside of that.
Yes.
So I actually, something about that example started to distinguish, for me at least, the distinctions or the differences or the flavors of commitment versus being. And I feel like I have like this excited, joyful feeling in my heart, like, oh, there's like there's something for me to discover there. It's like I'm about to take like an adventure or something. That was very exciting for me to hear that I don't know, like I'm like, oh, I get to like discover what's different between my commitments and my way of being, and like that distinction is going to open something for me that's going to take me on a whole new journey. So it feels joyful and exciting and like an adventure is about to happen.
Well, I'm remembering something that stuck with me that Kirk said about commitment, which is there's a certain freedom in commitment, which I've discovered recently that I love, which is you're not just lost. Like, it takes that lost feeling away, and there's a certain freedom in knowing exactly what needs to be done to serve that commitment. Yeah, so I really resonated with that. And commitment for me, I've discovered in the last year, is like it's important to be committed to the God within myself, to myself, because that's been lacking before. So the commitment to God is the same as the commitment to myself. Yeah, and I really love the clarity that commitment gives you. That's been the most joyful thing about being committed, is that clarity that comes with it, because then you know what needs to be done.
Do you have a simple example of like how, like maybe sharing your commitment and then how that has assisted you in a decision?
Well, well, the way it's shown up recently in my life is I've been a working artist for most of my adult life, but I've really wanted to move in the direction of painting. And I know that I have skills there that aren't being used. But there's been something blocking me for years. And finally, I just made a commitment to do it, and I've taken on this huge project of painting my place. I have a little warehouse space. It's a little music and art gallery, and it looked really terrible from the outside. And I wanted to create, I wanted to create like an experience for when people come there. And so I took on painting the place, but in a mural, and which seemed like overwhelming. And then when I got started, I've just been in utter bliss. I'm just totally in my element. Things have flowed. It looks fantastic. I'm getting a lot of really great feedback from my neighbors, and it feels like it's in that commitment to serve God, because I feel like I'm using the gifts that have been given to me. And so it was just surprising how in my element I was. I was so, what's the word? Just didn't think I could pull it off, like doing something that big. But there was absolutely no problems whatsoever. I accomplished a lot in very little time. And I haven't finished because winter came, and I've got another 30 feet of wall, but I just can't wait to get back to it. And it feels it feels good because my little space is already known as, there's been so much beautiful music played there and beautiful events that when people walk in, they feel that energy. So it already feels important or special or healing. I get emotional about that because there's something about my ego that wants to shut that down, like not it's like my ego wants me to play small and not claim myself as a conduit of God's love and healing. And this feels like an important part of that, of not keeping myself small and really fulfilling the gifts that were given to me for service. So that commitment, even though like what's happened is like it's caused sort of a cash flow problem because nobody's paying me to do it, and that's brought up fear and I fall back into ways of generating income that don't serve me anymore. And then in the end, they don't end up generating the kind of income that I need anyway. So I feel like the more I commit and the less I worry and the more I let go of the fear around not generating the income, and that somehow that'll work itself out. So yeah, that's an example.
Yeah, like from maybe the time I was like 17 or 18, like when I discovered like, hey, commitment exists, like, hey, purpose actually exists, like from that moment, like I've had commitment. But in the initial stages of that, I've made commitments that have been ego commitments, that have been commitments that were for self-service, that were for significance, that were to control not only how I function in the world, but also controlling other people so that I have the perception of functionality. So then when I made a switch where I made like soul commitments, like the ego still wanted to fulfill the ego commitments. And I'm relating this to your share in that like from a soul commitment, the ego is left out of the picture. It's included, like it gets you to a point, but there's a point where it's time to let go of the old perceptions, of the opinions, of the my truths, of the expectations of what's to come. And that is, I think, the fear. And that's, I think, the thing that it's the ego wanting to maintain the driver's seat, and the soul knowing that the driver's seat is real, but in truth doesn't even actually exist. Uh, I'll pause there.
I don't know what to say, but silence is kind of weird. So, uh,
For me, silence isn't weird, and it's not weird because I actually see there's all these words that are language, and uh, all the language is pointers, but it isn't the thing. Like, um, so there's like silence. Well, all right, that's pointing towards no sound, but I don't believe in silence. Like, I believe that the quieter it gets, it's an opportunity to listen deeper. And um, I don't know, that's just what I got.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's funny you talk about the language because we were all saying so many words, and I was like, I was sitting there, I was like, normally I'm like so in the space about what's being said, but I was like, what are we talking about? And yeah, I just like wasn't like getting it, you know, and the silence. I mean, I agree with what you said about silence, and it's also it was also interesting seeing the weirdness come up from the silence because it was like, okay, isn't there something gonna come next? Like, what's the next thing? Like, I'm still lost. Like, we're going to silence now. Like, but I resonate a lot with what you're saying, and as I finally got something to grasp onto, um, which which is about the yeah, like the intrinsic truth of reality that like even language, it's like it's a way for us to construct and create separation. And yeah, like I haven't done any Vipassana yet, but I know that they're coming at some point. Like in those long spaces of silence, you have zero option but to go inward. And for extended periods of time, 10 days you're meditating like, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours a day sitting there and you're not speaking. So automatically it's that like 10-second weirdness comes up and then you just can't run from it or go to somebody and talk about it and try to escape it. Um, and I even found myself the other day in kind of that kind of space where like I couldn't really explain something about how language is constructive through using language. Like it's so interesting. It's like, okay, I'm going to use language to tell you how language constructs even the fabric of reality and how everything is based on the way we perceive. But I'm going to use it by telling you through language. So, and at that time I was like pretty nebulous myself, so I was doing a really bad job. I was like, man, how am I going to get him to understand that the way that the words and the perspective, it's like constructing all of the reality, and the truth is whatever some like image comes to me right now. It's like the Matrix movie. It's just all like code, and you have to like put a lens on to see the code. Otherwise, it's just vibration and energy. It has no meaning unless you have like a decoder, something you're applying it to mean. I think that one feels real good.
That feels solid to me, man.
Yeah.
I'm right with you right there.
And it brought me back to like commitment earlier. There was something earlier that I was thinking about to a time in my life where I wasn't very committed to like anything. I was like kind of lost, and I guess I was committed to smoking weed, if that counts. But other than that, I wasn't committed to much. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I brought that, but that just came to mind. Hmm.
I'm just thinking about my past commitments and how much joy they've brought me. My biggest commitment was not only to God but to my daughter, and to see the fruits of that where she's thriving. I was committed to not traumatizing her the way I was traumatized, and that was a gift to me because it woke me up to when I could. So it just shows how commitment can bring so many fruits. And it was just the best day of my life when I heard her say that she was having the best childhood ever, to come, to have that come out of a child's mouth. So yeah, I'm just reflecting on when there were commitments, how much joy that could bring. And a similar commitment in relationship is, now I'm committed to taking care of my elderly mother. She lives right across the street, and we haven't had an easy relationship because we haven't seen eye to eye on many things. But my commitment to be there for her had me let go of all of that and not need to harp on our disagreements, and that's brought us so much closer. It's so much easier, and there's so much more love and flow for both of us from my commitment to being there for her and not having it be full of strife. And again, that cleared the way for what needed to be done. Was I needed to let go over and over again and let her have her way and come from love always. So yeah, I'm just reflecting on how much clarity and joy that commitment can bring.
For me, I I have this thing with responsibility where I don't want to fucking be responsible. I'm just like, there's a big part of me that's just like, fuck responsibility. Like, I'll just give this to you. Yeah, type of a thing. And, but, um, so commitment, uh, responsibility ties into commitment in that once we have a commitment, we're either fulfilling it or not fulfilling it. We're either being irresponsible with it or responsible for actually coming from the thing that we're committed to. And I used to not be interested in commitment either because of this felt responsibility. And but I've since had this shift where commitment now is so freeing because I don't have this multitude of options the options are still there, but now what option I choose is so simple because of like, hey, is this actually coming? Am I speaking from love? Am I listening from love? And then are my decisions matching what I'm hearing? And is what I'm saying being congruent with what I'm committed to? And so uh, my point is that I've had this 360-degree flip of how I see, maybe 180, a 180-degree turn of how I see commitment. And like I currently experience more freedom with being committed to something than like if I don't have commitment now, like I feel um like I'm merged with all that is, but am unable to like navigate reality without that commitment. And so for me now, commitment is my capacity, gives me capacity to navigate reality, like what's real, what's here now, like what's right in front of me. Welcome, Yannick.
I was feeling a moment ago. I was like, did Neal sit down committed to be non-committed during this meeting? It's like, oh crap, that's a that's a mind fuck right there. Because I was trying to read the energy, and I was like, what is this energy? It's like I don't get what's happening, and it's like, oh, he committed to non-commit. At least what I got. It was like,
This is accurate to a degree, but
Yeah.
like it's not how I would word it. What I'm committed to right now is a state of flow.
Yeah.
And so I'm committed to not having an agenda in the portion of the master class that we're in right
Yeah,
now.
I can feel that, and I've been part of the other ones, but it almost felt like even like with bringing into the field non-commitment, that you like committed to be non-commitment as you brought that into the field. Because I was like, when I was reading, it's like, what is happening? Like, I don't know. And even now, it feels almost like disorienting a little bit. Like, because I don't know, I read into the energy of the situation, and it's like, I was like, what? It's been a while since I actually feel lost in the conversation. And so I guess I'm reflating that to like it seeming like you had embodied, like you're trying to share a concept. So I'm gonna embody the energy of non-commitment right now. And I'm like, okay, I'm committed to be here. What's happening? Where am I at? So great work, great job. Um, and I guess I mean what I'm getting from all of this is that, well, A, it just brings me back to that. In a way, I was using commitment to feel secure or to like have something to do, or like have something to fill the time with, so that the feeling of non-commitment didn't come up. It wasn't actually being committed. It was like, okay, well, I need to commit to something so that I don't have to feel this energy of non-committed, which is like this, I can only describe it as like disorienting, ungrounding experience. But now I'm seeing over time that I have been connecting with a more solid commitment that has purpose behind it and has like pathways for all of the experiences of my life to be of purpose. I was like experiencing things like why am I going to finance school? I don't like this. And then I was thinking, even back then, I was like, there's a reason, there's a purpose. Like you're here, so might as well get the best out of it. And so yeah, I'm not now seeing that as this, as the real commitment is anchoring in that all the other things that I even like just committed to out of whatever, out of the avoidance from not feeling non-commitment, actually circled back around to have a purpose once I committed. That was a mind loop right there, but I like it.
I received this, yes.
I feel more grounded now too. I didn't like that feeling. What you got, Yannick? This is the space where I guarantee Neal would love everything you have to say.
Oh boy.
Maybe that wasn't the right invitation. We'll see.
What's the name of that animal that Luke Skywalker cuts open to warm up when after the lightsaber comes? No.
Are you saying you're gonna cut us open and warm
No,
up
it's the
inside
will
us?
of grabbing the microphone. I kind of didn't do it in the right order. to the gift of the present, to be present in the now. And my mind's totally an open slate, a blank. I was over there eating the salads from the garden and the chaya from the garden, and loading up on the goods from the earth. And I heard the hearts being shared, and it's like, oh, but I don't remember what the question was. Being committed, I'm committed to the well, like kind of like the mission that Paul was on and the mission that Jesus was on, where when Paul came before the council in Athens, they kind of were kicking him out of town and putting him on trial, and he referenced the words that he read on the temple to the unknown God, because so many people talk about God as like from the place of master and servant, and God is just a spirit, and your judgments are gonna be you're gonna have to stare down every one of those judgments from the other side of the gun, if you want to become one, like Jesus had asked, may they be one as you and I are one. So, and that's not a fun journey when there's no guides. It's not a fun journey. I'm sure if there is a guide, but how do I be that person when everyone does what's right in their own eyes, and it's we're in Old Testament 2.0 thanks to Caesar, who stole the gospel and basically legislated that you had to be a follower of the way that Caesar made, to gain access in the marketplace, especially to those who were higher up than you that were playing the facade and using that to rule and reign over you, rather than laying down everything like the rich young ruler, which is the flesh, not the flesh attuned to the spirit. I don't know. That just came through. Did that come through with spirit, or did that come through with what is currently present to my consciousness? Whoa. So the journey of repentance and purifying oneself and becoming like a virgin, collecting oil, the oil of the presence of the awareness of the presence of God, and the wonder and gifts and awe and mystery of that comes after the purification, standing in the crucible and burning.
You said the oil of the presence of God.
Yeah, to be anointed. Like
gotta get lubed up.
It represents oil, in the Hebrew tradition. So but the ego which was created seeking to save itself, is like a one of the early trains that had air brakes, and you got to apply the brakes a long time before that big heavy mechanism that's built on words and lies and adaptations to get acceptance and validation and approval in this world from family system that's suppressed by the rulers of this world, which ultimately are the high priests of the ruler of this world. And you have to be able to lay it all down, and how I'm opening up to creation and how to become more creative, but I don't have any experience with that. But like what came to me after the Remember experience was the through Geode was the Three Musketeers, all for one and one for all. That's kind of like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. From eternity we come and down to earth, and then back to eternity we're going, whether or not we're going to be in line and useful to the spirit of the creator of creation or not. I don't see anyone
Commitment.
teaching that. I don't see anyone teaching that. But how do I create a way which will keep me alive behind enemy lines and, reach people who, because this is the generation, this now all of heaven and earth long for the children of God to arise, but then their egos have to die in order to do that.
You said going behind enemy lines and telling the people.
Finding the people who are willing to, so egos want to receive, I need this and form so I can gobble it up and feel comfortable and safe and secure, and use this, consume this knowledge to not understand but overstand and keep myself on the silo of my own court in my own judgment seat, which I have.
See, I'm actually receiving that a lot.
I don't have my feet grounded on the grounded in creation.
So what? Back to what are you committed to? You're committed to going behind the enemy line.
No, I am behind enemy lines. I've always been there.
Have you
Because people aren't. This culture is not a cult. It's a cult of culture that's not attuned with the spirit of God, the spirit of creation, and creation's. There's so much suffering that comes with the marketplace for the lords of Babylon. There were 100 in the first Babylon, or 1,000, I believe, in the next Babylon. And how many Babylons does this cult have? Or how many lords does this cult have in globalization?
got lost in non-commitment.
And on that note, let's pause the state of flow we've been in. So the beginning portion of this is a feminine flow part of this masterclass, but what we're now stepping into is more of a structured space where I invite you to give an offer. Have this offer include a time, a location, minimum donation amount, and some way that people can reach out to you, either email or phone number or website, or all three. So we'll have 2 minutes each. And so feel into your heart. And in addition, have this offer be something that if somebody were to hear this offer, literally just in the hearing of it, they already see something new being possible that didn't exist before you spoke. Who would like to share an offer? Amazing. So Taikon, just take a moment and be present, feel your heart, and then as you're ready, let it rip. You've got 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Taikon, and I came to Costa Rica 12 years ago. I came to Costa Rica the second time I had ever came. I bought a place over the internet and moved in with my daughter and my wife at the time, and just started living. And this came out of a space in which my life wasn't working. I had abundance, I had a family, I had all the things that would make anybody happy. I didn't have to work, which was something unique out of most anybody I know, but yet there was still this deep dissatisfaction with what was happening and how I was living my life. And And in that, I made the best choice that I ever made, which was to make a leap of faith. And this leap of faith has led me to this place right here with my brother Neal and this beautiful community here, Earthwaking, and through an amazing journey in which I've had countless spiritual experiences, deep, profound connections, breakthroughs, amazing times. And what I can offer is a guide or a coach or a cheerleader for the people that are right on the edge, that know that their life isn't serving them anymore, but they just can't seem to make that leap. And for the purpose of this offering right here, I'm down to do it for $55 for the first session. And I'll hear you, I'll hear where you're at, I'll ground in, and from there we'll find the buttons that help that I can press to make sure that you're not going to give up on yourself. You can find my contact below. It's Tycon Story, TICON.STORAY@gmail.com. And you can email me there and we can get on the call and I can help you maybe put on a wingsuit so you can fly off the edge and make that leap. Much love.
Nice. It was getting a little lengthy. I was like, did I say something? But really great job. Speaking to it, but then also coming to a closing. Yes.
I didn't keep you.
Yes. Yannick, do you got an offer you want to share?
Yeah.
All right. So just take a moment, breathe, be present. You got 2 minutes. So as you're ready, let it rip.
Yes, my name is Yannick Kinney, and what I have to offer is a coaching to help ground a person who is perhaps been spiritually blown wide open or coming to a deeper reality or realization of a relationship with the creator of creation, the Spirit of God, and how to become more a child of the earth so that they can become one that arises, for all of heaven and earth long for the children of God to arise, and that is from the earth. We are children of the earth. And Jesus said, are you, do not your scriptures, do your scriptures not say, are you not children of God? But he called himself the Son of Man, and I can help people who are willing to stand in the crucible and burn off the dross so that they can purify themselves and become useful in eternity and to the eternal witness of heaven. And the best way to contact me would be through Yannick, Yannick, Kinney, Kinnie, at Facebook. I have emails, but I don't look at them unless I know it's coming. I also have Instagram, which I don't go to very often. It's Yannick, son of Gray. I'm sorry. Some static here. Yannick Gray, Gray, son of Gray.
Trade your mic, Yannick.
Gray. And I have a way. Is this? Okay, I have a way of interfering with computers and technology with my my energetics, but yeah, there are many mysteries that are in the Bible that are true in spirit and flesh, and the slave gospel says it has to be this way, and that's the flesh. That we live in a world that where flesh rules over flesh versus spirit ruling over spirit. So there we go. Cut 10-4.
All right. What's your minimum donation amount?
Oh, $55 for an hour sounds good, and you can decide from there.
Amazing. Yeah, and so these offers are in the description of this replay video. So I'm just putting that out there.
Right.
Thank you, Yannick.
Okay, I have
Nice, Lucia.
I was
you got something inspired inside of yourself?
yeah. I have
All
a
right.
website.
Sweet. Take a moment, feel your heart, be present, and then you have 2 minutes.
Okay.
Let it rip.
I have a website where I sell mainly copper jewelry that I make, and I make this one ring that I started making years ago, but I call it my Cross Your Heart ring, and it represents, or it's a reminder to be kind to yourself. And so my proposition is, if you buy that ring, I can give you a 30-minute consultation on discovering where you're not being kind to yourself, or where you're not making commitments to yourself, and how that's affecting you. So it's only $35, and I'm willing to offer a 30-minute consultation on looking at that together. And you can find that at the TIMA collection.com.
Amazing. All right, so I'm gonna share. This is, are you somebody that you've been growing spiritually, but you've come to a point where you know there's more, but you don't know what the next step is to get to that more? And it's not more like it's like there's more to consume. No, it's like there's more to let go of and to step into. So if you're plateaued, if you feel like you've reached this cap, I'm offering the up-level ceremony, which is a 7-day event held here in person in rural Costa Rica. It's going to be on Earth Waking Grace 2 property. And the event, the dates of the event are December 27th, 2024. And then the end date is January 2nd, 2025. This is a cleansing event. So the first 5 days of the up-level ceremony, there's no food. We're fasting, and in addition, included is 6 hours of meditation during those initial 5 days. And then on January 1st, 2025, after we've literally cleaned out our internal system by not eating and drinking water, we'll introduce food like Okinawa spinach, like papayas, like Bele hibiscus, like mango, like bananas, organic fruits and vegetables, to revitalize the cells of our body. And what I promise is that are you to show up, you literally are going into 2025 with the radiance in your physical body, with mental clarity, and like a glow in your spiritual body. The minimum donation to attend and secure your spot is $333. And I'm going to put my link in the description to make that donation. And I've got more spots available, but it's like within the next week, this offer is probably done. So this offer has got like another week that'll be available. and then it'll be done, and then that's the people who will be attending. Once you've made your donation, you'll reach out to me via email and send me the name Natural Balance and like, hey, I donated. And then you have an opportunity for a 1-hour phone call, and you can donate more. So every $50 more that you donate on top of the $333 is going to be one single tree planted in your name. I love God, and I love creation, and I'm promoting natural living, natural construction, natural balance, which is the inherent truth that's always available, and we choose what we focus on. So with that, thank you for being here, Lucia, and Yannick, and Tycon. Peace. You're welcome.